welcome back for another episode of Hoeology Podcast. This is your host, Destiny. Before I jump into this episode, I just need to let y'all know I got a lot cooking in the background, okay? Your girl is going to sexuality conferences this year. Your girl got her first media pass. This past weekend in Miami, I met the Alley Brew from Twitter. If you know, you know. I have games that I'm going to be launching. So when you're having your hoe night in with your girls and you're going through all the dick pics in the group chats, I got some games for you so that you could play and have fun. So just keep an eye out. Of course, follow me on the Hoeology Podcast social media. TikTok, we go viral every other day. Twitter, we over there talking shit. Instagram, of course, we're posting the funny memes. Just connect with me as much as possible so you can stay on the lookout for all this amazing stuff that I am doing in the back. Now, let's jump into the episode. As always, we start off with our tweet of the week, which says, "I'm not into poly relationships because you touch mine and I'm poly gonna whoop your ass." I don't think I've ever had such like a direct perfect tweet of the week, but damn, this hit the nail on the head. I feel like lately it's become a trend to like be polyamorous or whatever. Now we have non-monogamous relationships. There's another word. It's like non-monogamous something. Who the fuck knows? But there's a lot of different options when it comes to being in a relationship. But I feel like there's so much miseducation surrounding like polyamory and open relationships and swinging that it's just like people just jump into something and then hurry up and throw a label on it and they don't even know like what they're actually doing. And I also feel like a lot of the time, like I'm noticing women specifically that are in relationships with men that start off monogamous, instead of being like, oh, maybe we don't mesh together, they're like, oh, let me mold myself and be what he wants, like let's have threesomes and stuff, and now we're poly, and now I'm learning I gotta start eating bitches out and all this. And it's like, baby girl, slow your roll. There's a bunch of different types of relationships, so just make sure you're finding what works for you. And if you're interested or curious about the poly, open, swinging, etc., non-monogamous life, let's deep dive. Let's deep dive into that. As you hoes know, I'm a married hoochie now. But I think since getting married and being married to the person that I'm married to, we can have open conversations about, different types of relationships, and whether we're interested or not interested, we can just talk about our experiences and talk about, if that's something down the line that would work for us, or maybe it wouldn't. People grow, people change, you never know. At this point in my life and in our marriage, we are not interested, but we are very supportive of the people around us that are interested and that are actively engaged in that lifestyle. So what exactly does that mean? When I say the lifestyle, I mean non-monogamous, non-traditional relationships. So people emotionally connecting with other people outside of their home, marriage, relationship, whatever. People physically connecting with people outside of that kind of like home unit, and then people maybe doing a mix of both, a little emotional over here, a little physical over here. People essentially doing what works for them, but it's not what societal, influence would deem as traditional monogamy. And honestly, I thought that I knew everything about it. I thought that I was like, you know what? I don't need to be in it to know about it, but that's 110% not true. You can learn, but until you're actually in it, you really are just an outsider looking in and then kind of formulating your own thoughts and processes from there. So I wanted to get like a firsthand look and actually talk to the people that were in it, because I feel like I, again, had a lot of miseducation and there was a lot of perceptions that I just needed to look into and understand for myself to fully be supportive of this movement and lifestyle. Now, like I said earlier, I feel like the recent obsession with like poly relationships has me wondering, like, are people genuinely interested in these poly relationships, or is it just kind of built on like selfishness and ignorance and just people wanting to be more about them, So first, before I deep dive into the people I've been talking to and all that, I want to go back in like a quick overview in history of polyamory and the cultural influence of the poly life. So in the US, the practice of polyamory was considered to be a Mormon based practice. I definitely remember growing up and hearing, like, oh, they're Mormon, they have multiple wives. But it actually goes globally, polyamory. There are lots of African cultures that practice polyamory. There is a community in Nepal that practices polyandry, which is one wife and multiple husbands. And even in China, there's a well known ethnic group called the Masuo. And they have what's called Zuhan, which is walking marriage. And basically, it's the freedom to have sex with whomever you want. The cool thing about the Masuo tribe, though, is that women there are treated as equal. So while, yes, you can have sex with whomever you like, there's no judgment associated with that, like here in Western cultures. The couples usually don't live together there. The women usually stay with their families, and the men share responsibility for any children born to women in their own family. And if a man is sexually interested in a woman, he asks if he can visit her, usually after dark. The sex is based on mutual affection and, again, not stigmatized on either side. So I thought that was a super cool historical fact. I might need to go visit them. So, kind of jumping back to, today's polyamory and, obsession with polyamorous lifestyles, it seems to be more of like a do what works for you basis, which is good if you're actually interested in polyamory and understanding, how it all works and how everyone can be together. But if you're just trying to fuck multiple people while, maintaining one partner, that's not what polyamory is about. I feel like how it should be is kind of what I saw in this example. It's actually a polycule, and it consisted of 5 people. I saw it on TikTok. Each person in the relationship provided like a different feeling or need for the others in the relationship. So essentially, they all created like a balance for each other. So where one was more emotional, the other person was more logical, and another person was more home based, and another person was more like entrepreneur based, and another person took care of the children. And it was just like everybody, literally like a commune. Everybody was bringing something else to the table, and they all saw each other as equal. And I feel like that's what polyamory should be. I feel like that's how it's supposed to be. But again, there's a lot of ignorance, confusion, just misunderstanding behind polyamory, swinging, open relationships, non-traditional, non-monogamy. There's a lot. I think one of the reasons why there's so much confusion regarding non-traditional relationships when it comes to like being monogamous, being poly, being a swinger, being open, is because a lot of people associate those stereotypes with cheating. And one of the main things that separates, poly relationships, swinging, open relationships, etc., is that they have the one thing that cheating does not have, which is consent. So when you sit down with your partner and you have these conversations about, should we, open our relationship? Should we be polyamorous? Should we try swinging? Should we, just be non-monogamous and have each other as like anchors? Like whatever. That is inviting that person to have consent for that relationship. So that person gets to say yes or no, I do or do not want to be a part of that. Which again, like that's the basis of like what I'm getting at is like they sit down, have these conversations, and they have consent. They have a mutual consent. And I think as a society, like we're still getting to the point of understanding what true consent looks like and understanding that it can be removed at any time if you're feeling uncomfortable or if something violates your boundaries. But again, that's the difference in why some people choose poly, non-monogamy, they choose, swinging open relationships, etc., is because they'd rather have that one-to-one consent versus stealing that option from somebody and then them dealing with hurt and pain and consequences. Not saying that you can't still experience that in non-traditional relationships, but it's a little bit harder for that to be experienced because you have that element there, which is consent. Which actually, I think cheating as a whole, like we have so much of it in society. I am not a fan of cheating. I don't agree with that shit or whatever. But I think the reason we have so much of it in society is because people don't know how to properly navigate consent. Like, I don't feel like it's that hard to tell somebody, I'm not interested anymore, or I would like to fuck other people. Yes, you're gonna have to deal with the reactions because we are a generally monogamous society, but there's also somebody out there that doesn't need that much convincing and they're probably on board with it. So you should probably look for them instead of trying to take away somebody's option to say that they're okay with it or not okay with it. And the fact that we have so much cheating in our society tells you that people are not as ready for poly relationships as they would like to pretend to be. So that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. So let's get into like what the major differences are as far as I've learned. And if you know of anything else, please let me know. But for poly, essentially you're getting an emotional connection. So it's many different relationships within a group. The emphasis is on that emotional connection. Then you have open or non-monogamous relationships, which are each partner can do as they please separately. Both have the emotional and the physical connection. Then you get into swinging. And swinging is couples that swap with each other. The emphasis is on that physical connection rather than emotional. Now, of course, there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, well, had a swapping relationship and he told me he loved me. Great. I'm talking about the major differences right now. So, with this information in hand, we're knowing like the general differences between the different types of relationships. I still feel like getting a first-hand, look into it is the best way to learn about these things. Now, does that mean I'm telling my husband we about to be poly for experimental purposes? No, it does not. It means going to someone that is in the poly community and having a discussion with them. So, that's what I did. So I found this Facebook group called Poly Nation Tampa. And I was like, okay, cool. It looked like, it was mostly like a black group. And I was like, okay, I feel comfortable asking these people, how this affects their life, what's going on, etc. And so we went to one of their events they were having. It was literally a poly event at a restaurant here in Tampa. And when we got there, like we were probably one of four couples that were there. And we let them know, like right off bat, like we're not in the lifestyle. We respect the lifestyle, but we are literally just here to learn, like, just learn about it. And so it was an interesting experience, y'all. Like, first of all, it gave Hotep vibes off rip. They were talking about how they don't allow LGBTQ plus people, how they really didn't like embrace the bisexual side of being poly, which was interesting because the host of the event, his wife was bisexual. So I was like, do y'all know what the B in LGBTQ is for? Okay, great. So anyway, I was just like, this is just not the vibe that I'm trying to like foster as far as like getting information out. And I just was really turned off by it. And I felt bad because, while I'm not into that lifestyle, I do support it. And I can only imagine feeling self-conscious about wanting to explore the lifestyle better, and then that's like your first experience. Like it's just not, it was not a good time for me personally. Now, I'm sure if they're like older people that were in the group, it probably made sense for them, but we inclusive around here. Okay, we want everybody to have love. The LGBTQ plus people deserve poly love too, and if they want to find it, they should be able to have access to that as well. So I I'm gonna keep doing my research, keep looking. I wish I could create my own, but again, I'm just not in the lifestyle, so I feel like that would be doing a disservice to people that are actually interested. But yeah, your girl is not giving up hope. I was hoping to learn a little bit more about it, but I just unfortunately did not get that. Now, I can tell you a whole lot about swinging because my husband and I have been going to a nudist resort, which is traditionally where the swingers be hanging out. And baby, they be out. The swinging community in Florida is insane, out of this world. Like, at one on every corner, okay? Fuck a CVS, fuck a Walgreens. You're getting a swinger and a pineapple today. It's crazy, y'all. So we went to Caliente Resort, and then we also went to Secrets Resort. Secrets is where like you can play anywhere outside. It's a resort. They have two pools, a tiki bar, a hot tub. They got rooms that are like see through, so you can literally watch people fuck in there. Not my vibe personally, but I thought it was a good time. My husband was like, hell no, it was dirty, never again. But Caliente, I made a video about for TikTok. It's actually at like 50,000 views right now. So go check that out if you want my full detailed rundown on that. But yeah, Caliente is big for swingers. So is Secrets. Both are nudist based. So you're gonna see a lot of titties, ass, dicks, balls, piercings, clitoral, everything, labias in every shape and color. Um, but the swingers there are generally pretty nice. Like I feel like there's a lot of respect within that community, and there's a lot of just understandings. Like nobody is aggressive. No means no. Like I'm not interested means I'm not interested. But they're still nice. They're still friendly. Like we had no issues at either place that we went to as far as the people were concerned. So definitely check out Caliente. Definitely check out Secrets Resort here in Florida, if you're interested in learning more about that and just talking to people there, because they are very open, very welcoming. We saw a lot of LGBTQ people there, at both Secrets and Caliente. I'd say overall it's just a very welcoming environment at both locations, so definitely check those out. Now, as far as open relationships go, I personally haven't met anyone that's married and in an open. That's not true. I just remembered one of my sugar daddies was married and an open relationship. Yes, because his wife had a boyfriend and then he had me, which. But anyway, yeah. So that's like the only time I've encountered that. I do have a friend that's in a non-monogamous relationship, but I don't really know like the rules or the things that they have in place for that. But again, I'm 110% sure that it revolves around consent, understanding, and there are boundaries in place for everybody, which is the whole thing that I just want to get across. Like, don't just jump into poly or open or swinging just because you want to make someone else happy. You also have to make sure that you are comfortable, that you are happy, and that your boundaries are not being crossed. And it's okay to be flexible if you want to explore and you want to, get to know, ask questions, reach out to people in the community. If you're curious about swinging, the upside down pineapple is what to look for. That's the dead giveaway. But if you're interested in poly, join some groups on Facebook. Look for people on Twitter. That's a great place. Search hashtags on TikTok. Like, there is a community out there, but we're still, as a society, not ready yet for like the magnitude of like how deep underground this shit goes. But once you're in the lifestyle and you're accepting of the lifestyle, or even if you're just supportive of the lifestyle, they appreciate you and they welcome you with open arms. So if you have any questions about where to find that, please reach out to me on Instagram. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. So, as always, reach out to me, connect with me on social media. That's Hoeology Pod on Instagram, Hoeology Podcast on TikTok and Twitter. And as always, happy hoeing.